today. To dream, believe. You are the strength, you're all I need. Oh, gonna give it a shot. Only one of me to shield you all from the enemy. You're a superhero.
and dust. Search but you stay lost. We are reaching for the stars, but we're making this too hard. And I wonder where you are. Mysterious, that's the part you always show. 'Cause you're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow. Mysterious, that's the part you always show. 'Cause you're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow. We're dreaming in the dark. We are nothing more than dust. The search for you stay lost. We're reaching for the stars. We're making this too hard. And I wonder where you are. Mysterious, that's the part you always show. 'Cause you're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow. Mysterious, that's the part you always show. 'Cause you're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow.
Burning the bridge that keeps us. I'm here and I'm feeling exaggerated, that's what you assume. The story's over now, I must conclude. I am conflicted, watching where I step still, hanging in the balance. Not the life I want to live, I want to take it all. Standing tall, fear I weighed the person you are. Oh, break out, I've got to see. Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it in a sense, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in us. They know we'll burn till the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up. Tonight, we gonna light it up. Tonight.
Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, for you, for you, for you, let the light shine through. In the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Motive Racing channel. We are here on a Thursday night for the Touring Car Championship, our British Touring Car Championship here on Project Cars 2 on the PlayStation platform. And we are at Silverstone for the opening round of Season 13 here. We kicked off our Project Cars 2 campaign on Monday night in the Clio Cup at Rapuna Park, where we saw an incredible 3 races. And hopefully we'll have more of the same here tonight. We've currently got 14 drivers out on the track. I think the Mutts Nuts has pulled out of the championship for this season with about half an hour left until the start of the season, so he's not here. We've also missing Day 666, who I think has had trouble accepting the invite to the session, and Charlie Goff couldn't be here, so unfortunately we only got 14 drivers. We should really have had 16, but yeah, with 3 people just pulling out at the very last second, it's kind of gone all horribly wrong. So hopefully we'll have some of those guys back in for the second and third races of the night. But currently we're coming towards the end of this first qualifying session of the season. This will be the only time that we have a qualifying session to start the night. From next round onwards, it will always be a practice session to start off the night, and then it'll be a reverse grid based on the championship standings for the first race. It doesn't look like Day has managed to get himself in the session, which is a massive shame, obviously, there, because yeah, he was. I think he was looking forward to tonight, but don't know if he'll be able to get those issues, whatever it is on his PS5, sorted out for the second race. But I did send him about 50 invites, and apparently none of them came through, which is really bizarre. But currently we've got John Boy sat on provisional pole position at the moment on a 106.9. We've seen 106 as being the gold standard, the benchmark over the course of the practice, over the course of the week, and also tonight. And John Boy back in a car which he loves, the Renault Megane, which we all know he obviously has won 2 championships with here at Motive over his time here racing with us on Project Cars 2. His 2 championships came actually 2 seasons apart. He won 1 championship, then went into the Mercedes and almost won the championship in the Mercedes. He came tantalisingly close, got pipped to the title by Exmar in the Mercedes, and then the next season after that he won it in the Megane, beating Laney to the title. So he always goes well in the Megane, and he's been pretty good in the Mercedes, to be fair. The last couple of seasons he's struggled in the Mercedes, and obviously the season before that he was in the BMW, so he's really put himself to the test over the last few seasons as John Boy. But can we see him return to his very best here this season? We saw him in the resurgence in the first season back on Project Cars 2 for what was season 10 here at Motive, where he went all the way to the title decider with Jay, and those two ended up battling out over the championship. Jay ended up winning season 10, but now they're going to be back in the same position as they were in season 10. Can John Boy get the revenge on his arch nemesis here? Jay, who is just coming down towards the end of the hangar straight. He's currently 6/10 adrift off of John Boy's fastest time, though. We've got Captain Harlock sat in second place. He's been very strong in pre-season. Always he goes very wide there coming through Abbey, though. But yeah, Captain Harlock's been one to watch over the course of the pre-season. Last season was driving in the BMW. This season racing in the Renault Megane. It's pretty much an all Megane field, I think, this season. I don't know if we've got any BMWs. We have got Connor in the BMW, but I think everybody else on the grid this season is in the Megane. So that's going to be interesting to see. Obviously it's going to be a much closer grid. Everybody's in the faster car, so to speak, other than Connor, who's really putting himself in a very difficult position being in that BMW. But what can he do this season? We'll have to see. But yeah, John Boy being back in the Megane is great news for us, because he's a man who can fight it out for championships. He's also teaming up with Ozzy Albie for this season. Those two, oh no, actually they're not. So John Boy's had a last minute livery change here. What has happened here? It looks like John Boy has made a decision to go with Cobb in terms of his livery. Well, that is very strange, because I thought that John Boy was teaming up with Ozzy Albie for this season, but it looks like Captain Harlock is teaming up with Ozzy Albie instead. So no, Ozzy Albie's now changed livery again. So what is he in now? Is that Ozzy Albie? That is Ozzy Albie in the number, is it the 16 or the 17? I know those two are both that. I know that's the same colour. Ozzy's in a 17 car, and Nick Levitt, I think, is in a 16 car. So wow, okay then. So it looks like Ozzy Albie and John Boy deciding to go their separate ways here at the start of the season. But nonetheless, we're coming to the end of the qualifying session right now. It's John Boy on provisional pole. Captain Harlow is currently 0.4 of a second off of the provisional pole time. You've got Cobb in the pits. He's not going to improve. You've got Nick Levilla coming down the hangar straight right now as he's coming down towards Stowe Corner. You've got Jay also out there at the moment, just coming out of Chapel. Mike Gaming looks like he's done for the session. Having to carry 100 litres tonight, down to the fact that he is a reserve. He's the reigning champion of the touring cars, but he's not going to be champion this season because he's not able to compete. He's not able to commit to the whole schedule. But nonetheless, let's see what's going on here between these drivers who are just finishing their laps. You've got John Boy, who's now done for the session, still on provisional pole on a 106.9. What can Captain Harlock do? He's very wide out of the last corner. Does he manage to keep the momentum going? Nick the Villa is also in front of Captain Harlock as he comes over the line. What can Nick the Villa do? He can't improve, stays in fourth. You've got Captain Harlock who improves his that time fractionally, but nowhere near enough to go on pole position there. Remains in P2. What about Jay, our former champion of the touring cars, up towards the line? Can he go on pole? I didn't see what the time was as he came over the line. It's going to come up on the screen now. Jay did not improve, so he stayed in P5. So it's going to be John Boy who will start the season off on pole position here for the Touring Car Championship here at Motive Racing, ahead of Captain Harlock, who will line up alongside him on the front row in second place. And he got Cobb in P3 ahead of Nick the Villa, who will line up alongside him on the second row, followed by Jay and Mike Gaming in 5th and 6th places, Ozzy Albie and Craig in 7th and 8th, with Park Pooper and Team MW in 9th and 10th, followed by M. Afford, Revolt Detailer, Thoristia are making his debut for this season, his first ever appearance on the Motive Racing channel in P13, and Connor Boylan 14th place. Guys, we are just going to go to a very quick advert for our sponsor, RevoltDetailer.com, or Revolt Detailer. Boy, that's the company name. The guy, Revolt Detailer, Leo himself, who is meant to be providing prizes for the championships. But Leo, you need to send me Mike's prizes from the last 2 seasons if you can. But anyway, enough of that. In fact, you know what? I don't think we've got time. Well, actually, no. Let's do it quickly.
And I can't seem to find a light between the walls I built for myself right in my mind. And then you came over and you showed me love that I never had seen before. Now, when I got you, it's all gonna be alright. Thinking about all the things we did tonight. What a time to be alive. Just you and I. Just you and I.
Here we are then, guys. We're moments away from the start of the first race of the night. It's lights out and away we go. And John Boy is immediately trying to cover off Captain Harlock. Oh, there's a collision straight up the line between the Villa and Jay as those two spin out onto the grass. Captain Harlock down the inside. John Boy keeps it on the outside of Abby and keeps onto the lead for the time being. You've got Cobb and Mike there in 3rd and 4th, followed by Park Pooper and Ozzy Albie behind them, ahead of M. Afford, followed by Team MW. Revolt Detailers trying to defend here. As you can see, Craig trying to go round the outside of Village, but Revolt Detailers going to look up the inside of Team MW here as you've got Connor behind them, ahead of Thoristia running in 12th place. Jay and Nick, though, having a collision off for the line, and they've both got damage here on the first lap of this race. It's John Boy ahead of Captain Harlock as we come down the hanger straight for the first time. Cobb there in 3rd place ahead of Mike Gaming, followed by Ozzy Albie, who's got Park Pooper just behind him. M. Afford here is looking on the back of Park Pooper as they're coming down towards Stowe Corner. You got Team MW ahead of Revolt Detailer as Craig's looking at the inside of Revolt Detailer into Stowe Corner. Isn't in a position to make anything happen there. Connor ahead of Thoristia, but Jay and Nick well off at the back of the pack with their collision off of the line. What a disaster between those two. We know that they're friends, we know that they're rivals. They're not going to be happy with each other after that, I'm sure about that. John Boy leads ahead of Captain Harlock, followed by Cobb. You've got Mike there ahead of Ozzy Albie, followed by M. Afford. Team MW, Revolt Detailer ever so wide there coming out of Vale. Craig has lost out here by the looks of it to Connor, but gets the run out of the final corner and holds on around the outside of him for the time being. Doris Steers right on the back of these guys as well, looking to try and get involved, but dramatic start to this race involving two of the potential protagonists here this season, Jay and Nick. John Boy leading ahead of Captain Harlock. Captain Harlock's sticking to the back of it at the moment. Cobb is putting the pressure on Captain Harlock as well for 2nd place. Mike Gaming, last season's champion, is right there as well. Emma for Team MW, Revolt Detailer. Park Pooper's got Craig on the back of him in towards Chapel Curve, with Connor, who's just about a second off of the back of these guys right now. Thoristia trying to put the pressure on Connor really early here. But this is absolutely unbelievable here. What was going on between Jay and Nick off of the line? I really can't tell you what was going through the heads of those two. They know how to drive. They know the business. They know how to drive these touring cars. They certainly know how to get off the line in the Renault Megane. But what on earth went on off the line? I do not know. We'll obviously find out more about this afterwards. But right now we've got a four-way battle for the lead involving John Boy, Captain Harlock, Cobb, and Mike. Aussie Albie's dropped off for these guys a little bit there in 5th place. Mafford ahead of Team MW, followed by Revolt Detailer, Part Pooper and Craig, with Connor and Thoristier still battling over 11th place. But John Boy leads into Abbey for the 3rd time at racing speeds here. You've got Aussie Albie still just ahead of Mafford and Team MW right now. But we come towards Village here for the 3rd time in the race, and Captain Harlock's doing a good job here of keeping John Boy under pressure. Mike is really close here on the back of Cobb as these two battling it out over the final podium places. They're right on the back of the leaders still, John Boy and Captain Harlock. But incredible scenes here at the start of this race. John Boy back in his Renault Megane for this season, currently leading the race. Can he manage to get some good points on the board and get a win in the first race of this season, or is Captain Harlock going to deny him? Captain Harlock has been one of the dark horses in the build up to this season. He's been improving every single time I've seen him out on the track, and he's getting quicker in the Renault Megane. And we can see Team MW looking up the inside of Mafford into the Stowe corner. That is going to be job done there for him as Mafford gets almost tagged around there by a Roll Detailer. Roll Detailer is attacking, and Mafford's onto the grass. And where has he ended up there? Mafford has gone off and he's in the wall. I think he's by the wall on the exit of Stowe corner. He's not moving anywhere very quickly. Did Revolt Detailer just give him a bit too much of a nudge there to push him out? Nonetheless, Revolt Detailer's up into 7th place. It's John Boy still leading the race ahead of Captain Harlock, Cobb and Mike, and Mike's just dropped off for the lead pack a little bit. Maybe the 100 litres that he's got to carry as a reserve driver is affecting him a little bit here tonight, with none of the others having to do that. But Aussie Albie's dropping off for the leaders. He's 4.5 seconds adrift. Team MW is now in some clean air ahead of Roll Detailer. Craig is trying to defend off from Part Pooper as they're coming through Village Corner, as Mafford's disconnected from the race. He's left the session. Hopefully he can get himself back in for race 2, but not the start to the season that I'm sure he would have been wanting, as Thoristier is looking to attack here on Connor into on the exit of Chapel Curve. Jay and Nick have now caught up to these two, and Jay might be able to feast on the scraps that these two leave behind because they're battling, and while they're battling, Jay has got a run here coming down the Hanger Straight as he's now looking to the inside here on Thoristier. You can see Connor's pulling away in that BMW. He's got obviously the straight line speed over the Megane, as now we can see there Nick Liver looking to the inside of Thoristier. Nick's managed to out drag Jay down into Stowe corner, and Nick Liver up into 12th place. But the news here is that we're down to 13 cars in this race, with Mafford unfortunately retiring in the early stages. We've got Connor now defending to the inside into Vale. Thoristier trying all the way around the outside, and that is a fantastic move there from a rookie. Thoristier putting off an absolute worldie, but he might be about to get overtaken by Nick Liver here as Nick and Jay squeezing through as well. Connor's lost 3 places in the space of 2 corners, and that's not gone well at all for him. But Jay is looking around the outside and Nick Liver in towards Abbey. Can he get it done? No, Nick's got the inside line covered off. Jay with his front bonnet hanging off, hanging by a thread right now by the looks of it. But Thoristier up into P10 with a great move there on Connor Boylan, as Jay's looking to the outside and Nick Liver in towards Village, but nothing doing there from him. And it's as you were still, as John Boy still leads the race ahead of Captain Four separated by about a second right now. This is a great battle for the lead in the early stages of this race. We've got Emma here in the comments, says welcome to the new drivers, good luck everyone, and hopefully Aussie will have a good season. Fingers crossed, Emma. Aussie is actually Emma's other half. Aussie Albie's currently running in P5 right now, driving his first season in the Renault Megane in the Touring Car Championship, so it'd be interesting to see how he's able to get on this season. He's running just a couple of seconds clear of Team MW. He's pulled out a bit of a gap to him over the course of the last few laps. You've got Craig still coming under pressure from Revolt Detailer. Part Pooper Rex is still on these as well, so it's a 3-way battle here for 7th place. But right now it's John Boy still leading as he goes a bit wide there coming out of Abbey. Not what he would have needed at all. Captain Harlock sensing opportunity, but not quite close enough into Village, still as we coming round here on lap 6 of the race. You got Mike here still on the back of Cobb, but still can't force him into a mistake. Mike carrying the 100 litres, as we said before, it's not going to be easy for him tonight. Loses you, we reckon about half a second a lap it loses you in terms of having 100 litres in the car. So yeah, it does make a difference for sure, but obviously in the slipstream that will be negated ever so slightly, seeing as you'll have the tow from the cars in front. Captain Harlock nonetheless is looking on the outside of John Boy here. Can he get up into the lead? He's looking on the outside of Stowe corner. It's not easy to keep the grip and keep the momentum, but I think he's managed to do so. In fact, John Boy has managed to keep it around the outside, actually coming down towards Vale corner, and John Boy's still maintaining the lead at the moment. But Captain Harlock's just looking, he's probing, he's he's trying little moments here to he's trying to put John Boy, he's trying to unsettle him a little bit, but for the time being John Boy is still holding on to this lead. 3/10 of a second separating these two as they're coming over the line here to complete lap 6 of the race. Cobb and Mike still right there as well, so if these two trip over each other, you can bet that Cobb and Mike will very, very gladly take P1 and 2 here in this race. Aussie Albie's still going in P5, he's still got a couple of seconds back to Team MW, as that gap's still around about 2 seconds at the moment between those two. Craig, Park Hooper, Revolt Detailer. Revolt Detailer looking on the outside of Park Hooper in towards Abbey. Is that job done there for Leo? It is. Good move there from Leo up into 8th place. Nick running in P10 there ahead of Thorister, who's got Jay right behind him, and Connor there in the background trying to keep with these guys here, but he's struggling in that BMW so far. As Jay still with that big damage on the front of his car, that's not going to be helping him at all as we go back to the battle for the lead here. Currently 4 drivers separated by a second right now. 7 of you currently watching the stream, guys, smash the like button if you like what you see. Show your appreciation for these guys who are putting on a great show here in this Touring Car Championship, opening round of the season here for season 13. But it's still Jean Boy who has a slender advantage right now. Captain Harlock onto the curbs a bit there on the outside, coming on the exit of club corner, out onto the start finish straight once again. But he's having a look, he's just trying to distract John Boy a little bit in the mirrors, but John Boy's not having any of it for the time being, and he's just holding firm, not making any mistakes, not bowing down to the pressure. Also noticing here on the timing screen that we've got a bit of a battle going on. Craig has got onto the back of Team MW, and Revolt Detailer is only about a second off for these guys, but Craig has pulled out a bit of a gap to Revolt Detailer recently, I think, because I think that was more than it is now, which is weird because Revolt Detailer was actually 6/10 quicker on that previous lap. But Craig nonetheless really trying to get something done here with Team MW. Revolt Detailer has managed to gap Park Hooper Rex. Park Hooper Rex has dropped off the pace a little bit over the course of the last couple of laps, but Craig very wide there coming out of Chapel Curve. Still managed to get a good run though coming out onto the hangar straight. Back to the leaders, we've got John Boy, Captain, Cobb and Mike still separated by a second. There's Aussie Albie, there's Team MW, who has got Craig really crawling over the back of him now into Stowe corner. Still not quite close enough for Craig to make a move, trying to just keep him on edge and maybe wait for the mistake. Craig's just hoping that he can force him into a little error potentially, but for the time being it's as you were, 6th and 7th places here for Team MW and Craig, and you've got Revolt Detailer and Park Hooper in the background there. Nick's managed to clear a Thorister and is now a couple of seconds clear of him. Jay still hasn't managed to get ahead of Thorister. I think that Jay's got a bit more damage on his car than what Nick has on his. We've got Archie there in the comments saying good luck lads, have a good one. Archie there races with us on the Clio Cup on Monday nights here on Project Cars 2. He knows a thing or two about this game, and good to see him in the comments here chiming in. He used to race up with us obviously on ACC as well, so he's been a bit of a motive veteran here. But nonetheless we go back to the leaders here. We've got John Boy, Captain, Cobb and Mike just under a second separating these two still, these 4 should I say, in this battle for the lead of the race. You've still got Craig running in P6, he's still got Team MW looking on the back of him as Team MW is looking on the outside here, coming out of Chapel Curve down the hangar straight, but can't get around the outside of him for the time being. He's going to tuck back in for that slipstream here. Revolt Detailers just behind with Park Hooper as well, so this is a 4-way battle here for 6th place. As we can see Team MW looking down the outside here of Craig, should I say. Craig's trying to hold the inside line through Stowe corner. Team MW goes a little bit wide. Does he keep the momentum around the outside? He can't do it. Craig holds on, and now Team MW is going to watch out because Revolt Detailer is looking down the inside in towards Vale. Can he get that move done? Team MW is keeping it around the outside, will have the inside for Club, but Revolt Detailer will be able to carry more momentum. I tell you what, Revolt Detailer, you can't do that, mate. You basically use the track limits to get a load of momentum around the outside there. That's not really a fair move, but is he going to hold on here ahead of Team MW in towards turn 1? Team MW does tuck in into 7th place, so Revolt Detailer, to be fair to him, to get the position up. Oh, Park Hooper loses it by himself, coming out of Abbey and just managed to hold on to it, but that's not going to have helped him at all in this battle to try and keep into to try and stay in the battle for P6, and Park Hooper's just lost a couple of seconds there with that little skirmish. But Craig, Team MW and Revolt Detailer still here in 6th, 7th and 8th places. Revolt Detailer's just trying to keep Team MW under pressure here, but Craig's managed to gap these guys by about a second and a half over the last lap, so now Craig looking sitting quite pretty there in P6. Back to the battle for the lead. Captain Harlock's looking at the inside in towards Vale, as we can see John Boy's trying to hold the inside, and we'll have the inside once again for Club, but now Cobb is looking on the inside of Captain Harlock, and Captain Harlock's going to watch out here. He's got 2 cars up his inside. Cobb down the start finish straight, side by side here. Is Mike Gaming going to make this 3 wide into Abbey? No, he's not, but Cobb there trying to keep it on the inside, and is stick contact there. I don't know if there was a bit of bumper to bumper stuff there, but Captain Harlock has to take to the escape road there as Cobb's going to have the inside for Village, and he's going to have that job done, I think, up into second place. So Cobb there moves himself into P2, and it's now John Boy's closest challenger for this race win. Captain Harlock there caught napping a little bit, was trying to put the pressure on John Boy, ended up coming a copper by himself, but Cobb there is now wide out of Chapel Curve and almost getting onto the grass there, but Captain Harlock can't get back on him here as they're coming down the hanger straight once again. Mike Gaming still waiting, still hoping he might be able to feast on the scraps from these guys, but John Boy's managed to open up a bit of a gap here, 0.8 of a second as they're coming into Stowe Corner. Cobb defending the inside line from Captain Harlock. He goes a little bit deep. Captain Harlock might fancy an opportunity here. There will be side by side down towards Vale. Captain Harlock's just squeezed ahead. Cobb has the inside line. Has Captain Harlock managed to clear Cobb into Vale? Yes, he has. So Captain Harlock up into P2 once again. These two trading places over the course of a lap, and it's John Boy, Captain Harlock, Cobb and Mike, the top four still in this race. As noticing on a timing screen that Craig has caught up to Ozzy Albie, so this is a battle for P5 right now. Craig has managed to reel him in a little bit. Team MW is still keeping Revolt Detailer and Park Pooper at bay. Park Pooper's managed to close that gap down after losing a bit of time to the guys in front of him due to a little mistake a couple of laps ago. We have actually lost the driver from the race as well. So somebody has retired from the race here on, well, lap 12 of the race. Somebody's retired. It wasn't, oh, it's Thoris Deer. Thoris Deer's retired. I don't know why, because he wasn't doing that badly. Don't know what's happened there. But nonetheless, we go back to the battle for the leaders because John Boy, Captain, Cobb and Mike still separated by just over a second, these four, as they're coming into Stowe Corner again. But John Boy has led this race pretty much from the get-go, but he's had heavy pressure the entire time. He hasn't been able to run away. He hasn't been able to stretch his advantage. He's just managed to weather the storm and keep his cool and not get ahead of himself, not feel the pressure too much. He's currently doing a really good job here of just keeping these guys where he needs them to be, as Captain once again struggling through that final corner, and he's now got Cobb and Mike still reeling him in as they're coming over the start-finish line here to start lap 13 of the race. But these guys behind John Boy are looking much closer than John Boy is to them at this stage. John Boy just seems to have control of this race for the time being, seems to know what he's doing here around this Silverstone International circuit. Craig in the meantime has now got ahead of Ozzy Albie, so Craig is up into P5. Ozzy Albie's trying to come back at him into Abbey, but Craig has got that one done there by the looks of it. Team MW is joining in 7th place still. Revolt Detail has got Park Hooper really close to the back of him here as they're now coming down through Village, and is he going to make the move into the corner? I don't think he is. Oh, Revolt Detail's gone deep though. He's gone very deep. Park Hooper Rex will seize the initiative there and move up into P8, and he's not going to wait for a second opportunity there. Park Hooper up into 8th place. Nicely done there from him. Back to the leaders. John Boy, Captain, Cobb and Mike separated by just over a second still, but John Boy's got a 7/10 of a second gap here to Captain Harlock as they're coming into Vale once again, as Cap Craig is now having to defend from Ozzy into Stowe Corner. Guys, he's trying to come back at him here. Team MW has actually gained on these two as well whilst they've been battling. Craig holds on into Stowe and coming out of the corner now. Ozzy's trying to get the run down towards Vale, but he's nowhere near close enough to make a move. Keeping an eye on the battle for the lead, John Boy is still ahead of Captain Harlock, Cobb and Mike for the time being, but Craig here has just got the initiative over Ozzy Albie at the moment. As we can see, Park Hooper Rex has managed to obviously make the move on Revolt Detailer at the beginning of this lap due to Revolt Detailer running wide. Revolt Detailer has now got Nick Lavilla really close on him as well. Jay running in 11th place, not making the gains with that big damage on the front end of his car. But John Boy, Captain, Cobb and Mike 1.2 separating the top four. Captain still very close to the back of John Boy, but still no moves, no position changes, nothing really major going on. The only time we've seen a position change is where Captain Harlock made a small mistake and Cobb was able to pounce, but then on that same lap at the end of the lap, Captain Harlock was able to get back ahead of Cobb. So those two changed position once, changed again, that's been it, and it's been pretty much following the leader since then between these four guys. But Captain Harlock is getting ever closer to the back of John Boy. Now Captain Harlock knows we're coming towards the end of the race. He knows he's got to start thinking about how he's going to make this move on John Boy. John Boy's been defending this move an absolute peach throughout the course of this race and has been doing everything he needs to do. But at this point now, Captain's just going to be thinking, what have I got to do differently? What's not working? What do I need to change up here? John Boy a bit wide out of Abbey, and Captain Harlock's just waiting in the wings still. Mike Gaming is still on the back of Cobb, but these four are just sat there in a line, just probably, I reckon all three of these guys probably think they're in with a shout of this win. None of them are going to be getting too urgent until we're literally in the last couple of laps of the race, because that's when you really can make the positions. That's when you need to just step on in and get in a bit of a hurry. But at the moment, I think these guys are going to be quite settled, knowing that they're in striking distance. Saying that though, John Boy's just pulled out second here on this lap. I tell you what, John Boy has had an absolute barnstorm of a lap so far, as Cobb's looking up the inside on Captain Harlow into Stowe, but nothing doing. He's not close enough just at the moment. But John Boy, I tell you what, he's put the hammer down this time around, and now he's nearly a second clear of these three, who are still really in a cluster battling over second place. Captain Harlow's got Cobb looking to his inside, but Cobb's having to defend from Mike as well into Vale. But coming out of the last corner here, John Boy is about to start what I think is going to be the third to last lap of this race. And what a great night it would be for John Boy to see him come back to winning ways in the Touring Car Championship. It's been a couple of seasons since we've seen him take a race victory. It's been so long. I'm sure he's been missing that top step of the podium in a time that he's been racing in the BMW and then the Mercedes after that. I think the last win he took in the Touring Car Championship was back in season 10, which is, as some of you know, this is season 13. That was 3 seasons ago. But back in a car which he loves, back in a car which he's won 2 championships with in the past here at Motive. He's currently doing the business. Captain Harlow has kept it within a second at the moment. Cobb and Mike have just dropped off at the back of these two a little bit now, so Captain Harlow looking like he's going to be John Boy's sole challenger here in the final 2 laps of this race. Cobb and Mike now dropping off at the pace. Cobb's going to defend here from Mike, as Mike's looking pretty racy on the back of him into Stowe corner. But here we go then, 2 to go, just over 2 laps left to go in the first race of the night here for the Touring Car Championship season 13 here at Motive. John Boy's just extended the gap a little bit to Captain Harlow coming out of Stowe corner. Through Vale we come now. Cobb there's got Mike still hassling the back of him here as they're coming through Vale, but not really in a position to do anything. Cobb wide out of Vale, which would have lost him a bit of speed there, lost momentum. Mike will get the run coming down the start finish straight, but he's too far back at the moment to be able to be close enough to go for a lunge or a little send it, maybe a cheeky little manoeuvre. He's not really in a position to do that at the moment. But the gap just over a second here between John Boy and Captain Harlow. So I tell you what, John Boy is doing what he needs to do when he needs to. He was only a 10th quicker than Captain on that previous lap. Obviously Captain started the lap off quite well. John Boy towards the end of the lap started to put out the gap, but John Boy is now really putting the hammer down. 1.4, 1.5, the gap's going up to a second and a half between these two. John Boy now can see, he can taste his first race win in a very long time. He has not won here at Motive since I think August last year. That is 5 months ago, so he's obviously going to be itching to get a win on the board. In the meantime, Craig and Ozzy are still battling over 5th and 6th places. They got Team MW and Park Hooper on them as well, so it's a 4-way battle here for P5, with Nick Lavilla a couple of seconds behind in 9th place, Revolt Detail a few seconds behind him, and Jay running in 11th place, with Connor currently the back marker of this of the drivers still left in the race. But obviously we've lost Doris Deer from the race, as well as M. Afford, and we're obviously missing Day as well, who should hopefully be back with us for the second race of the night. But it's currently John Boy starting the final lap with a 1.3 second gap. Captain Harlow, Cobb and Mike Gaming running in 2nd, 3rd and 4th places. Craig's still holding on ahead of Ozzy at the moment, but Ozzy's going to throw the kitchen sink at him on this last lap, you feel. He's looking up the inside, and Ozzy's got a bit of a run here coming out of club corner, but Craig gets a better run out on the final corner, obviously with the better radius around that part of the track, and holding on here ahead of Ozzy just about in towards Abbey they go. CMW and Park with Rex on the back of these guys as well. Nick Lavilla's a couple of seconds back, but I don't think he's going to catch them in time. But let's go back to the leaders, because John Boy has got over a second of a gap here to Captain Harlow. Captain Harlow's actually gained a couple of tenths on this lap so far. I think John Boy's just riding this one out. He knows he's got this one in the bag. He just needs to not make any mistakes here. Through Stowe we come. He's literally just got 3 corners left to go, really. You've got the two little kinks of Vale, and followed by club corner, the final corner, and then the victory will be John Boy's. Here he comes in towards the final part of the lap. It's been a long time coming here for John Boy, our 2-time champion of the touring cars, back in them again here for season 13. I flashed the lights from him. He's going to take the win here at Silverstone. Congratulations to John Boy. Great to see him back where he belongs. Captain Harlow takes 2nd ahead of Cobb, who completes the podium. Mike Gaming over at the line in 4th place. Those 4 guys putting on a hell of a show. Such a close race between those 4 drivers. Kudos to them for giving us some exciting action here tonight so far in this one. Craig's going to come out the final corner to hold on ahead of Ozzy for P5, ahead of Team MW, who will just pit Park Hooper to the line there in P7. Park Hooper comes over in 8th, ahead of Nick Lavilla, who finishes in 9th place with the damage in the early stages due to that collision with Jay. Jay comes over in P10, pits Revolt Detailer right at the end there. Revolt Detailer finishes the race in 11th place in the end. and Connor's coming out of the final corner, and it will be a P12 for Connor. Obviously, with Thorsteer retiring, he'll be the last driver to finish, and obviously Thorsteer and Mafford both retiring from the race. But that is that then for the first race of the night, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back very shortly for the second race. Don't go anywhere. We're going to go to a quick video for our sponsors, and we'll be back in a sec.
Right in my mind, and then you came over and you showed me love that I've never seen before. When I got you, it's all gonna be alright. Thinking about all the things we did tonight, what a time to be alive. Just you and I, just you and I.
Welcome back everybody to the second qualifying session of the night here for the Touring Car Championship at Motive Season 13 here on Project Cars 2, and we have got 14 drivers here in this session. I think we've lost Afford from tonight. I don't know if he's rejoining us. I don't know if he's continuing with the season. Haven't heard anything. He's bailed out of the first race, which is a bit disappointing as it is the very first race of the season. So yeah, not quite sure what's happening there, but yeah, bit of a shame really. We've not got the must nuts in. We've obviously Charlie said he couldn't make it. I don't know if the must nuts is racing this season. I think we've got a few spaces now in this season, so yeah, if anybody fancies it, I know that we're going to be I'll be offering the spots to some reserves first, but failing that, I think we're probably going to be I've had a couple of spaces actually, which is funny because we've got Seth in the comments there, 128 Civic saying would have been great to race this season but still good to be watching. Well, Seth, if you're interested, watch this space because there could be opportunities here, but nonetheless, we're coming towards the end of this qualifying session. We've got John Boy currently on provisional pole on a 107 dead, the race winner from the first race of the night a few moments ago, and he's currently blazing a trail here at Silverstone International tonight. Obviously our two-time champion of the touring car division here at Motive. He also came very close to winning the championship in the Mercedes many seasons ago now, and obviously the last two seasons with a very competitive grid, he wasn't able to win the championship in the Mercedes like he has done or rather come close in the past. The last couple of seasons have been very difficult for him. He hasn't taken a win in the last two seasons, but tonight he's got off the mark. He's taken the first win of the season. Can he now continue on that momentum here at Silverstone? But he's currently 4/10 up on his personal best, so this could be in the mid 106s here from John Boy. This could be an absolute scorcher of a lap as he's coming through Vale. He'll also get the benefit of a little bit of slipstream, so this could not have gone much better here for John Boy. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a 106.5 potentially. Here he comes. Yeah, it is a 106.5. That is a benchmark and a half there from John Boy. The fastest time that I've seen in this build-up has been a 106.7. He's gone 2/10 quicker than that. John Boy is flying right now. Can Captain Harlock get anywhere near that as he's coming through Stowe Corner right now? Let's see, he's currently a 10th down on his personal best. His personal best is 8/10, not good enough, so as it stands I don't think he is going to be able to do anything. Cobb goes P6 here at the end of the session, so he's got himself just over a second off of the pace. Jay's gone P3. He's done for the session by the looks of it, so that's going to be that for him. Captain Harlock over the line doesn't improve. Craig coming through the final corner. He's currently 4th on a 107.5. Does he shave a few tenths off? Nick Villa's gone into P5, pushes Mike and Cobb down a position. Ozzy Albi's into the pits. He's not going to improve. Team MW and Connor also done for the session. What about Day? Day's coming through in towards Vale. He's currently up on his time, but he's 3 seconds off for the pace at the moment. What is he able to do? Obviously we've got the battle of the new drivers here for this season, Day and Thoristeer, and Team MW as well, although Team MW doing a very good job here tonight. Thoristeer goes P10, so 2 seconds off of the pace. Day come over the line. What can he do? Didn't see what he put on the timing board there, to be honest. But that is that then for the second qualifying session of the night. John Boy taking 2 poles from 2. Can he make it 2 wins from 2? We'll have to find out in a few moments. Captain Harlock P2 with Jay and Craig on the second row behind them. Nick the Villa and Mike in 5th and 6th places, followed by Cobb and Ozzy Albi. Team MW in 9th ahead of Thoristeer in 10th. Connor in P11, followed by Day in 12th. Pop Hoover in 13th and Revolt Detail at P14 on the grid. We're going to go to a quick advert for our sponsors, guys. We'll be back in a moment.
Sometimes and I can't seem to find a light between the walls I built for myself right in my mind. And then you came over and you showed me love that I never had seen before. Now when I got you, it's all gonna be alright. Thinking about all the things we did tonight. What a time to be alive. Just you and I. Just you and I.
Here we are then, ladies and gentlemen. We are moments away from the start of the second race of the night here at Silverstone International. Second race of a 24 race season here for the Touring Car Championship this season at Motive. Obviously we've got 8 rounds, 3 races per round. Obviously from next week onwards, the first race will always be a reverse grid, so there won't be a qualifying session before the first race. This would usually be, the middle race would usually be the first qualifying session and only qualifying session of the evening, but for obviously this first week it's the second qualifying session, and then from this time next week onwards it will always be the sole qualifying session of the night. But we're getting ready to go for obviously the middle race, which is always going to be down to outright pace. It's going to be a chance for the guys to do their fastest laps and then properly go at it Grand Prix style. But here we go nonetheless. We're about to go racing here for the second race here. The lights coming on now, and it's lights out and away we go. And Jay looked like he got quite a strong start there actually from the second row. Did he jump it as we come on? He comes around the outside in towards Abby, and Jay is in the lead, but John Boy's trying to keep it there. And I'll tell you what, John Boy's got a better run coming through, and looks like he's got the lead back there. But Captain Harlock's now attacking on Jay up the inside. Is he going to make the move on the brakes? Bit of a lock up there from Captain Harlock. Jay trying to keep it around the outside. He's onto the grass a little bit there, and Captain Harlock gets back up into second place. But Jay there looked like he got a good start, but in the end makes no position gains there. It's back down to third place as we see the cones going flying there, courtesy of Captain Harlock. But it's John Boy, Captain Harlock, Jay ahead of Nick Lavilla in fourth place, followed by Craig there ahead of Mike Gaming, who's ahead of Cobb there, followed by Team MW. We've got Aussie Connor completing the top 10, followed by Park Hoover, Revolt Detailer, Day, and Doris Steer at the back in P14. But John Boy coming through Stowe corner here for the first time here in his second race. As you can see, Jay going a little bit wide there coming out of Stowe, and Nick Lavilla might fancy his chances here coming down towards Vale, as Jay's going to have to sort of defend a little bit to the inside, but Nick can't make it around him at the moment. As in the background here, you've got Team MW hassling the back of Cobb there, and Connors coming under pressure also from Park Pooper and Revolt Detailer. Day and Doris Steer completing the classification, but John Boy having to defend here from Captain Harlock, who is looking pretty racing on the back of him, and it's a similar situation to what we saw in the first race a few minutes ago, as Nick having to defend and attack at the same time. He's got Jay in front of him and Craig behind him, and Mike there is also hassling the back of Craig here as they're coming down towards Village. Once again, bit of a lock up there in the foreground from Jay, who's having to really defend hard from Nick Lavilla, but these guys are all on the back of the leaders, and Captain Harlock has just managed to mug John Boy here coming out of Chapel Curve. Does he keep it around the outside? John Boy having to just break it a bit early and give Captain a space around the outside. Captain Harlock has pulled off a great move there up into the lead of the race. John Boy now having to tuck back into the slipstream, but they're all coming here, as you can see Jay in the background and Nick as well, and this is going to be 4 cars for the lead coming down towards Stowe corner. Captain Harlock with a much better run actually down the straight, and has been able to pull away from these guys ever so slightly. John Boy onto the grass coming into Stowe corner, goes very, very wide. Can Nick Lavilla capitalise? In fact, Nick got a poor run and Jay manages to keep it on the outside of him, but Jay down the inside of Nick Lavilla side by side coming down towards Vale, and it's going to be Jay on the inside who's going to keep onto that. Nick's got to watch out because Craig's on the back of him as well. Craig's trying to get around the outside of Nick Lavilla, but Mike is now looking to mug Craig up the inside here through Club corner they go. Mike Gaming moves ahead of Craig up into P5. He's on the back of Nick Lavilla now, so Mike using the slipstream off of Nick to move himself ahead of Craig there, but Captain Harlock now leading the race ahead of John Boy. Jay followed by Nick Lavilla, Mike ahead of Craig followed by Cobb, then you got Team MW followed by Park Hooper X, Revolt Detailer in P10 followed by Thoris Steer. You've got Aussie Albie into the pits here at the end of lap 2, not quite sure why. Connor's still going, Day also in the pits, so Aussie Albie and Day both in the pits at the end of lap 2, but currently Captain Harlock is your leader ahead of John Boy followed by Jay at the moment. 7/10 of a second currently separating the top 3. You've got Mike currently trying to put the pressure on Nick Lavilla here for 4th place, with Craig, Cobb and Team MW not too far behind as well. But down the hanger straight they go, as Nick Lavilla's now having to defend here from Mike Gaming, who's looking around the outside into Stowe corner. Can Mike get this one done? He's going to keep it around the outside. Can he keep the momentum there? Usually the momentum goes to the inside car. Nick Lavilla's still there and manages to cover him off coming down towards Vale. Captain Harlock's still got John Boy hassling him into the braking zone there, but nothing doing. All bit of contact there as Craig just tags Mike in the back, and Craig might be able to do a bit of a push to pass there on Mike. Mike surely is going to have the run on the outside coming out of Club corner onto the start finish straight, and manages to hold on to that one, but Craig's still got the inside line, still a little bit alongside him at the moment, as Captain Harlock, John Boy and Jay still battling in towards Abbey, side by side between Craig and Mike, and Craig looks like he's going to have that one done there coming through Abbey. Here they go, as Mike onto the grass a little bit there, holding on around the outside, but Craig surely is going to send one up the inside into Village and should have that one finally completed. And once again these two trading in places, but Craig back up into P5 as Cobb and Team MW with Park Hooper dropping off of these guys right now, but it's a four-way battle here for P5 P5. It's a four-way battle for the lead as well, so it's the action wherever you look right now. Craig though up into P5 ahead of Mike Gaming. That's the development so far on this lap. Nick Lavilla is starting to lose a little bit of time to the leaders as Captain Harlock, John Boy and Jay still battle here coming into Stowe Corner for the fourth time in the race, as Craig, Mike, Cobb are still battling in close contention right now. Cobb is really close on the back of Mike here as they're coming down the exit of Stowe Corner. Down towards Vale they go. Is Cobb going to get a bit of a run? No, Mike's got enough of a run here and to keep ahead of him for now, as you were between these guys. But so much going on in the touring cars here tonight. Jay is right up Captain Harlock's chuff here, coming out of the final corner out onto the start finish show. We've got Raki in the comments saying good evening, just a quick hello. Andy's on a roll, so good to hear, I think he's saying. Thank you, Raki, good to see you tonight, mate. Also, Raki races with us on ACC on the PlayStation 5. You used to race with us on the F1 for a while, but I had to pull out of that one, but great to see it. Also, a big fan of the YouTube channel here at Motive as well is Raki. But we've got John Boy, Captain Harlock and Jay still separated by nothing right now, under a second here between these guys. Nick Lavilla is trying to hold on to the coattails of them. There is a lapped car in the foreground, or not, it's not lapped yet, but it will be soon. But that is Day, who's obviously coming to the pits for some damage repairs very early on. Aussie Albie's also been in as well, but currently the top four running through Stowe Corner right now. You've got Mike, who's got Cobb looking to his inside in towards Stowe Corner, and Cobb thinking about it, but not quite close enough there as they come through on the exit of the corner. Craig and Team MW still right there behind these guys, as well as Park Poopers now actually reeled these guys in a little bit whilst these four batted it out. This could now become a five-man battle here for P5, should I say. But Mike Gaming at the moment is still ahead of Cobb, with Craig, Team MW, Park Pooper now right on the back of these guys as well. They're 3 seconds clear of Revolt Detailer, who's running all by himself right now in P10. You've got Thorister a few seconds behind him in 11th place, and then Connor running in P12. Not having the night tonight so far is Connor. Took his first ever win at Motive in the final round of last season at Alton Park, but this season opener has not gone to plan at all here for him. But we've got Day still going in P13 and Aussie as well, but those two with big damage on the first lap really have been up against it since the start. But Captain Harlock's got Jay really close on the back of him. Nick Lavilla's managed to gain a little bit on these guys actually over the last lap or so, and Mike Gaming still keeping Cobb at bay, but Cobb's got a run here coming down the hanger straight, and I tell you what, I think Cobb's going to have this move done. You can see Cobb there breezing past Mike down the hanger straight with the advantage of not having 100 litres in his car. Cobb there moving himself up into P5. No dramas there from him. Good stuff there from Cobb, as John Boy still leading the race ahead of Captain Harlock with Jay, Nick and there's the battle still between Cobb and Mike going in towards Vale. You've got a lap car there in the vicinity. That is Day, who's moving well out of the way for the leaders who come through on the exit of Club Corner. But it's John Boy who's just over a second here ahead of Captain Harlock. So John Boy's sitting pretty right now, looking pretty strong as they come through Abbey now, and Cobb's still just ahead of Mike. He's managed to keep him behind him. There's Day, who's just ahead of these guys, and Jay needs to watch out. I tell you what, that was a bit sketchy there between those guys, as we can see Craig now moving through ahead of Day up into some clean air as well. You've got Team MW and Park Pooper right behind them as well, so Day's got to watch out. He's got to be careful here. He doesn't want to make an enemy of himself so early in his Motive Racing Project Cars 2 career. But John Boy still leading the race by just under a second right now ahead of Captain Harlock. Jay and Nick still in the vicinity as well, 2 seconds currently separating the top four. We got Cobb there still just ahead of Mike Gaming, but Mike's not letting him get off here without a fight. He's still keeping him right there as Craig ahead of Park Pooper and Revolt Detailer, who's a couple of seconds behind that battle right now. Thorister running in P11, Connor still going in P12, but it's not been at the night at all for him, as John Boy is still leading the race by just over a second. Captain Harlock's keeping that gap at around a second. It's not really changed too much over the last few laps. It's just staying at just under. It's just dipping under and over at the moment. Captain Harlock was a tenth and a half quicker than John Boy on that previous lap. But these top four separated by just under 2 seconds right now, as John Boy is just ahead of Captain in towards Village Corner we go. We got Cobb still just ahead of Mike Gaming. Those two battling it out over 5th and 6th places ahead of Craig. There's Team MW ahead of Park Pooper right now. Revolt Detailers dropping off at the back of these guys. He seems to have fallen off the pace ever so slightly, but I tell you what, Park Pooper is starting to crank up the pressure here a little bit on Team MW. This is for 8th place as they're coming out of Chapel Curve. Here we go. Let's jump on board here with Park Pooper Rex, as he's definitely looking to creep a little bit closer here. Down towards Stowe Corner they come. He's just a little bit too far away just at the moment. Doesn't look like he's been able to force Team MW into any sort of like mistakes or little errors here as they come on the exit of Stowe Corner down towards Vale once again, and Park Hooper just not in a position to really make a lunge at this stage. Keeping an eye on this battle for P5 between Cobb, Mike and Craig. These guys still going at it. The battle for the lead still rages on, but Captain Harlock and Jay, I tell you what, they've actually gained a bit on John Boy over the last lap or so. Well, it looks like they have. They haven't really, but they've just gained through the first corner. I don't think John Boy had a great run through the first corner. Captain Harlock's gained a 10th and a half. John Boy's gained a fraction of a 10th. But, sorry, Jay's gained a fraction of a 10th there on John Boy on that previous lap. But all in all, it's just going all over the place here between these guys. It's ebbing and flowing. But Nick Lavilla is keeping these guys currently just he's just holding on to them at this point. You know, he's not dropping off. He's just managing to stay in the vicinity. As Captain Harlock, I tell you what, he's got a great run here. John Boy must have got a poor run there out of Chapel Curve down towards Stowe. Here we go. That Captain Harlock there can't get a cut back here out of Stowe. He's going to look to the outside. John Boy might have to defend this one here. Captain Harlock's looking at the inside. John Boy leaves the door open. Here goes Captain Harlock onto the brakes into Vale. Is he going to keep it on the inside? John Boy holding around the outside here. We'll have the inside for Club Corner. Captain Harlock tried it. It didn't work, and now he's got to watch out because Jay's looking on the back of him out of Club Corner out to the start finish straight. But Captain Harlock's still got a good run there out of Club, and it's looking on the inside of John Boy down towards Abbey they go. John Boy's leaving the door open once again for Captain Harlock, but there's not quite a gap forming there. John Boy straight on, needs to be careful here, rejoining the track as Captain and Jay file through, and there is Nick as well looking on the inside, but Jay there is going to try and get the cut back here on Captain Harlock. He's got himself well alongside as they come out of as they come through towards Chapel Curve now. Jay is looking to try and fight for the lead here, but Captain Harlock keeping onto that one, but John Boy losing out to both of them there with that little mistake, and a great move there from Captain Harlock to get the lead of the race. Jay almost managed to get him as well, but Captain Harlock there leads us coming down towards Stowe Corner again. Jay there has got John Boy looking to his outside. There's Nick who's right on the back of him still as John Boy is looking to try and get the run, but Jay has got the inside there of John Boy. And I think he's he has got up the inside of John Boy. John Boy's now having to defend here from Nick Lavilla in towards Vale, and John Boy has that one covered off, but Captain Harlock now leading the race, having managed to wrestle the lead there off of John Boy, and Jay now is having to watch out because John Boy's trying to come back at him as they're now coming down the start finish straight once again. We had a double disconnection there from Revolt Detailer and Connor, so both of those two are missing out, and unfortunately we'll have to set out the rest of this race, but they'll hopefully be back for the final race of the evening. As we can see, there is Joe looking to get the run in towards the village, and he gets that done there on Jay, so that's a lovely move there from John Boy, and he's back up into P2 once again. So John Boy there went for a little bit of a late move on the brakes, and they worked to perfection, but Jay a little bit of a slide there coming out of Chapel Curve. Nick Liver's still there, still waiting in the wings, but this has allowed Captain Harlock to gap these guys by just over a second now, and he's looking to be sitting a little bit more pretty in this battle for the lead. The Dizzler in the comments saying good old Clios, good luck guys. It's the touring cars doing this there, but close enough. It's still the Megane, the Renault Megane, the front wheel drive Renault cars. They are all quite similar, but these are a little bit higher powered than the Clios. But welcome back to Dizzler, good to see you. It's been a long time since I've seen you. I remember Dizzler did a few commentaries actually for us in the Clio Cup back when we used to run them on Tuesday nights. I remember that. A couple of times I couldn't make it because I was working. I remember I was working late, and the ODG managed to get the Dizzler to actually commentate on a couple of rounds of the Clios. True story that. But Captain Harlock just under a second of a gap here to John Boy. Jay and Nick still right there as well. 2 seconds currently separating the top four. There's Cobb ahead of Mike, followed by Craig, and then you've got a bit of a gap back to Park Hooper and Team MW, who are still going at it here over 8th and 9th places. Thorister running in P10. Day and Aussie obviously with the early damage there for those guys, in nowhere to be seen here in this battle, but Captain and John Boy 0.6 of a second apart, and it's a similar story to what we saw in the first race with these top two still going at it. Jay and Nick have just dropped off for these guys a little bit over the course of the last couple of laps here. We've got Cobb there running in 5th place, has managed to keep the gap to Mike at a pretty healthy gap of almost a second. Craig is still on the back of Mike as well, and will be there to fight if these two battle each other, or if these two trip over each other, then you can bet that Craig will be there to capitalise. But still, as you were, between the top two, and Jay's now just creeped back to within a second here of the leaders. There's Captain Harlock a little bit wide there coming out of the last corner. John Boy will be fancying a move, but can't quite just get himself in range to make a move at this point. But John Boy led the early stages of this race. He also won the first race of the night, made a little mistake a few laps ago which allowed Captain Harlock to take the lead. It was through that corner actually. John Boy went wide, and essentially Captain Harlock just managed to get around him. John Boy had to be quite careful rejoining the track and ended up losing out to both Captain Harlock and Jay. And then since then John Boy made a very late braking manoeuvre on Jay into Village, which got him back P2, and he now currently sits in that order with Captain Harlock, John Boy and Jay, your top three. They've gapped Nick de Villa a little bit now. Nick de Villa's nearly 2 seconds behind these guys as they're coming down the hanger straight, but it's currently Captain Harlock, John Boy and Jay 3/10 apart between the leaders, as now John Boy's on the inside of Captain Harlock coming into Stowe corner. Captain Harlock's keeping it around the outside and no gaps forming there. He's just closing the door there. He's opening it slightly and then shuts it in the last minute, and Captain Harlock's now looking to get a run down towards Vale corner, but John Boy once again just parking his car in the right places, holding that middle lane, confusing Captain Harlock, not committing to an inside or outside line, just managing to keep him guessing there. And that's currently what Captain Harlock's doing really well here, to just not allow John Boy to get his nose in. He's not allowing John Boy to commit to one line. He's just forcing him to kind of just not make his mind up straight away. And for the time being, Captain Harlock playing this defensive game really nicely. John Boy going for a cutback there into the inside, going for a late move. Wow, incredible move from John Boy. Does he complete that one? If he managed to pull that one off, I would have been super impressed. Captain Harlock just survives. That would have been a hell of a move. I tell you what, if John Boy had managed to make that one stick, that would have been potential overtake of the season there, because I can't emphasise how much skill that takes to change direction in the braking zone when you're doing something like that, and to have pulled that off, and if he had managed to get the momentum out of the corner, that would have been insane. But John Boy's not going to watch out. This Jay's going to be inside. Oh, and there's contact here between the two armed rivals, and Jay's going to squeeze through. John Boy's not going to be happy with that one as he holds it around the outside in for the battle for B2. That's going to allow Captain Harlock off the hook a little bit here, and Nick de Villa's now on the back of these as well. But John Boy and Jay having a big argy-bargy there, huge to do. And now Captain Harlock has got a bit more of a cushion here as we've got 4 laps left to go in this race. Unbelievable stuff here. 9 of you currently watching the stream, show your appreciation for these drivers as Captain Harlock takes out one of the braking markers. That's not going to be what the guys behind him will get him on. They're going to be probably cursing him after that one. 4 seconds covers the top 7, but it's currently the battle for the lead, which we're going to be watching and we're going to be following for the next foreseeable couple of laps, because it's currently Captain Harlock just ahead of John Boy. Jay is right there hoping to capitalise if these two make a mistake, but the leaders, the top 3, have been slacking the last few laps. They've been battering each other and slowing each other down, and that has allowed guys like Cobb, Mike and Craig to potentially be in this battle here. I tell you what, the top 3, if they make a mistake, or if Nick de Villa as well, any of these guys make a mistake, then this could bring Cobb, Mike and Craig very much into a battle for potentially a podium, maybe even a race win here. Captain Harlock still has a slender lead. John Boy is really close though, 2/10 apart as Jay's still there as well. Into Vale they come, coming towards the end of lap 15 here at Silverstone International for the second race of the night here, second race of 3 here in the opening round of the season, round 1 of 8, race 2 obviously of 24 this particular race. But Captain Harlock here 2/10 ahead of John Boy as they're coming over the line here to complete lap 15. 3 to go here in this second race of the night, and it's still, as you were, half a second between the top 3. There's Nick de Villa, who's just dropping off of these guys a little bit now. Cobb, Mike and Craig still battling over 5th, 6th and 7th places. You've got Park Pooper and Team MW battling over 8th and 9th places as well. Thoristeer a long way behind with Day and Aussie with those early damages there, running in 11th and 12th places. Not been the race in this second race at all for either of them. But here we go, the leaders coming through Chapel Curve here on lap 16 of the race. John Boy's got a good run here on Captain Harlock, but I don't think it's quite good enough to get a run, enough to get a move into Stowe corner. And for the time being, Captain Harlock looks like he's got that one pretty much held on to there. As John Boy's just trying to distract him in the mirrors a little bit, but Captain Harlock's not going to be falling for that one. He knows he's far enough ahead. John Boy's not going to be going for a move just yet like that. Here we come into a pretty heavy braking zone, Vale chicane, and Captain Harlock once again just that he's going to have to watch out, because John Boy's just having a look again, but nothing doing for the time being still. Jay is just watching and waiting and probably hoping that these two trip over each other, but he needs to get a move on here, because 3rd place obviously he wants to be on the back of Captain Harlock. He wants to be in striking distance here as we start lap 17 of the race. Nick de Villa 2 seconds behind, still just keeping the gap at the same. He's matching the leaders, but he's not gaining on them. Cobb, Mike and Craig still battling over 5th, 6th and 7th places, but no changes between those two. Craig is actually closer to Mike than he has been actually, but Cobb managed to put out a bit of a gap here to Mike, so Cobb looking better in that 5th place than he has been. Here we come, the leaders, Captain Harlock, John Boy and Jay. Out of Chapel we come once again, 4 tenths between Captain and John Boy. Jay is within a second of these guys right now. 9 of you watching here, the Dizzlers saying, TC, sure, me being sharp as always, I hope to join you again soon. Solid racing on display. Absolutely, mate. Good, be great to have you back in the league if possible. We got Captain John Boy and Jay, as John Boy's really close on Captain in towards Stowe corner, but Captain's got just enough here as they're coming on the exit of the corner now. Down towards the Vale chicane we come once again here. There's been nothing at all separating these guys throughout the course of this race. John Boy took the win in the first race ahead of Captain Harlock. Captain Harlock leads this one and looking set to turn the tables here in this second race. Can John Boy get ahead of Captain Harlock on this final lap and make it 2 wins from 2 to start his season off? Or is Captain Harlock going to tie it up at the top of the championship league? Can Jay put his hat in the mix and maybe force these guys into a mistake on this final lap? Captain Harlock here leading us coming through Aintree and down towards Villagers. Jay very wide all over the place there. Is in the background. Nick Lavilla cuts the second part there of Village, as Cobb there running ahead of Mike and Craig, so Mike is still keeping Craig behind him at the moment, but Captain Harlock and John Boy side by side coming out of the Chapel curve, but John Boy can't quite get the run there. Captain Harlock getting a good enough run out of Chapel that he'll be able to hold on down the straight. John Boy looking for that slipstream. Captain Harlock is weaving around all over the place here, trying to break the toe as much as he can. John Boy in that slipstream, but Captain Harlock is still pulling away. He's got incredible straight line speed. He's got that car set up low downforce there for sure. As John Boy was looking to the inside into Stowe corner, but Captain Harlock looks like he's done enough here as Jay's in 3rd place, looking like he's going to sit on the final spot in the podium, but John Boy's going to throw the kitchen sink at Captain Harlock into the Vale chicane. Captain Harlock though, I think is going to have this one done. Final corner, you've got to just keep your cool, you've got to keep your momentum going around the final part of Club, but Captain Harlock here is going to come over the line here for the second race of the night here at Silverstone International. It's going to be the victory for Captain Harlock. John Boy takes P2 ahead of Jay, who completes the podium. Nick Lavilla over in 4th ahead of Cobb, who takes P5. Mike in 6th ahead of Craig in 7th place. But what a battle there between those top 3. Captain Harlock taking the win, and it's now 1 apiece for Captain Harlock and John Boy for this season. Park Pooper takes P8 ahead of Team MW. Those two having a great battle to the line, which we weren't able to follow too closely down to the battle for the lead, but Park Pooper coming out on top in that one. Team MW in 9th place with Thoristeer, who's coming out of the final chicane. And it's going to be a P10 here for Thoristeer as he comes out of the last corner and up towards the line. So P10 for him. Day and Aussie a lap down in 11th and 12th places. We should hopefully have Revolt, Detailer and Connor back in the session here for this final race of the evening. Obviously those two disconnecting at the same time, a double disconnection, which is not ideal at all, but massive shame there for those guys. But nonetheless, we'll have the final race of the evening very shortly, guys. Don't go anywhere.
For myself right in my mind, and then you came over and you showed me love that I never had seen before. When I got you, it's all gonna be alright. Thinking about all the things we did tonight, what a time to be alive. Just you and I, just you and
I feel sorry for Leo and Pooh, and I feel sorry for Leo and Connor for disconnecting, so I'm going to put Connor P1, Leo P2, and then it's going to be Aussie P3, Dave P4, Doris P5, CMW P6, Pop P7, Craig P8, Mike P9, Cobb P10, Nick P11, JP12, John Boy P13, Captain P14. So for those of you who are new, obviously it's just a formation lap, so everybody goes at slow speed, the leader sets the pace. Connor's done this before, so he knows what to do. And it's just following my leader basically. Single file, don't sit alongside other people, and just kind of sit in behind and then out of the last corner. Yeah, just like basically everybody goes hammer out of the last corner, yeah. No passing before the line, that's the only rule.
Whenever the lead car goes.
Yeah, you can't overtake before the line. If you overtake before the line, you get a penalty. So yeah, don't do that. Right, 5-minute practice so you can all hear each other, and then we're good.
Also, don't go before the green light on the start, otherwise you'll get a drive through.
Yes, definitely. You still get a drive through even though it actually doesn't make any difference. Although, saying that, I think these guys, everybody here is quite nice, so if you do jump the start, they'll probably let you drive around and do your drive through. But don't count on that though.
Yeah.
Don't count on that, yeah. Don't assume that everybody's going to be kind to you. Yeah.
Just break your own, mate.
I tell you what, we've had some people who've done their first evening of work.
You're talking about is that personal experience there, Leo?
Casting on my promises, you know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out, 'cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now.
final practice session of the night here at Motive for the Touring Car Championship, round 1 here of season 13. Round 1 of 8 for the season, obviously 3 races per round. This is race 20. This is race 3 of 24 for the entire season, and this practice will lead into a reverse grid manual formation lap. So basically the reverse grid is going to be based on the results from race 2, which we had a few moments ago. So we're going to flip the order on its head, and basically the guys who finished at the front will start at the back, and the guys who finished towards the back will start at the front. And something extra nice for tonight. Also, the guys who disconnected from the race in the second race, I've given them P1 and 2 for the start of this race. So you'll be seeing Connor and the Revolt Detailer both starting on the front row as they obviously disconnected from that race. I was feeling a bit sorry for them, so I thought, why not give them a bit of a chance here in this final race to redeem their unfortunate luck. But nonetheless, guys, we're back very shortly. We're going to go to a very short ad for our sponsors once again, and we're back in a minute.
Right in my mind, and then you came over and you showed me love that I never had seen before. Now, when I got you, it's all gonna be alright. Thinking about all the things we did tonight, what a time to be alive. Just you and I, just you and
We're just getting ready to go for this manual formation lap. We're just going around here before we actually start the race in earnest. So the reverse grid based on the results from the previous race. So obviously Captain Harlock won the first race. He's starting at the back for this one. You've got Connor Boylan who's leading us around for this one. Revolt Detailer alongside him on the front row. So what can Revolt Detailer do? Obviously has been improving every single season that he's been racing. He is our sponsor for the Touring Car Championship as well. He's the provider of our prizes for the top 3 in the championship. And Leo, he has a great company. Revolt Detailer is a car detailing brand which can sell products that you would expect a car detailing brand to sell. Stuff like window cleaner and snow foam and all sorts of things that you can check out. Definitely do so. Obviously you would have seen it in that little advert that we had a few moments ago, but go to revoltdetailer.com if you want to check out the products that they've got on there. And Leo was obviously relatively new to sim racing. This is his 3rd season here at Motive, so he's now started to get some experience under his belt, and can he now use that this season to really kick on and maybe score a top 10 in the championship this season against some very, very experienced and cool-headed drivers out there. But we've got Connor leading us around as they're coming into the Vale chicane. We're about to go here for the final time this evening, as here we come and into club corner now. When is Connor going to go? When is he going to pull the trigger and decide to get things underway? I think he has done. I think we're underway. Yes, we are, as we're coming over the line here. We've got 18 laps here in this final race of the night here at Silverstone International. As we can see in the background, there's already a bit of weaving going on. There's already some action, as we can see. There's Mike ahead of Common Nick. So it was Nick, I think, who was weaving all over the place in the background. It's Connor leading us into Village for the first time. Revolt Detail ahead of Ozzy Albi, followed by Day. There's Doris Deer, who's got Team MW looking down his inside. Team MW is going to have that move done, I think, as they come down through Aintree into Chapel, and that's going to be job done there for Team MW as he is up into 5th place. There's Park Hooper now trying to attack there as he taps Boris Deer in the back a little bit there, and Boris Deer there won't be too happy with that one, I'm sure, but Park Hooper there unable to get through him. But now we can see that Craig is also right there with Park Hooper as well. Mike Gaming as Team MW is squeezing through ahead of Craig now as well. So Team MW has made up places here down the middle as he comes around the outside of Stowe corner. Job done down there for him. Craig has got Forestier back up his inside. Park Hooper there has just dropped back behind Craig, as we can see. Jay is down to the back. So what's happened to Jay on this first lap? Disaster there for Jay. He's only about 2 or 3 seconds behind Captain and Nick, but John Boy making great progress. Oh, is this a contact there between Cobb and Nick the Villa, and those two there coming together into Vale chicane, and that's going to be a disaster for those two, as they've had a decent night tonight. But well, Nick didn't have a very good first race, let's be honest, but his second race went slightly better. But Day, what's happened to Day? Is he disconnecting? I think Day's disconnecting. That looks like a game freeze to me. That looks like his game is frozen. So Day is out of the race here in the final race of the night. Obviously missed the first race due to the fact that due to some settings on his PlayStation, and for this final race of the night he's disconnected. So only one race completed for the first round of the season for Day. But it's currently Revolt Detail a half a second ahead of Aussie Albie as they're coming down the hanger straight here for the third time in the race. You've got Connor right there in third place. In the background you've got Team MW ahead of Forestier, followed by Park Hooper, Craig, and there's John Boy looking up the inside of Craig, looking to try and make a move into Stoke corner. Is this going to be job done there for John Boy? I think it is. P7 there for John Boy. Thank you very much, he says, as Captain Harlock and Jay are still battling over 10th, 11th places at the moment, so they haven't made the progress that John Boy's made in any way, shape or form. You can't even compare the progress that John Boy's made to the progress that Captain Harlock and Jay have made. John Boy is flying through this pack right now as he's on the back of Forestier and Park Hooper already. It's Revolt Detailer who leads the race though, coming over the line to complete lap 3. Aussie Albie's keeping him on his toes. Connor's just dropping off of them a little bit there in third place. You've got TMW ahead of Park Hooper, followed by John Boy, but John Boy's looking on the inside there of Park Hooper. Forestier currently in the midst of this scrap here, as you can see him trying to keep these guys behind. TMW they're squeezing through ahead of Forestier, but now John Boy's looking on the outside of Park Hooper, as we can see there. Getting around on the outside of Park Hooper Rex. Park Hooper Rex is on the inside, but in fact John Boy has the inside for Chapel Curve. Bit of contact there, bit of door bang between the two of them. Park Hooper has the better line around Chapel Curve, and he holds on to 6th place there ahead of John Boy for now. Team MW there has just managed to gap these guys by about a second, whilst they've all been scrapping behind him. Forestier also has gapped these guys. Park Hooper and John Boy side by side into Stoke corner. Is this going to be job done for John Boy finally? I think it is. Yes it is. John Boy up into P6 now ahead of Park Hooper. Mike Gaming and going right behind these as well as they come in towards Vale chicane, as Mike Craig's going to try and get it around the outside of Mike Gaming. Obviously with Mike carrying his 100 litres this week, he's struggled comparative to what he usually has been like, but Craig obviously has been battling with Mike throughout the course of tonight. Mike there getting a better run coming through club corner, squeezes ahead of Park Hooper with the better run down the start finish straight, gets back ahead of him. Mike's still there, it's going to be close into Abbey. Mike there has the inside and squeezes through, and here comes Craig as well now, so Park Hooper might be about to lose 2 positions in the space of a couple of corners there, as Park Hooper trying to keep it around the outside. Craig though with the inside, and gets the move done up into 8th place there. Park Hooper down 2 places in that little exchange, but here comes Park Hooper back up the inside of Craig into Chapel. They can't do anything there. Craig there gets the move done up into 8th place. Revolt Detail are still leading the race by half a second right now ahead of Aussie Albie as they're coming down the hanger straight once again. Day 666 says that didn't go well in any race. Unfortunate first night for yourself, mate, but the only way is up here in the touring cars. Hopefully you can just get a bit more acclimatised to the car, to the Renault Megane, and get some good results here this season. But nonetheless, we go back to the battle here in the mid-pack, because it's currently Craig and Park Hooper with Captain and Jay right behind these guys now, as Jay's looking down the inside of Captain Harlock. And I tell you what, that is a peach of a move there from Jay. Does he keep it around the outside? I tell you what, he's going to get around the outside of Park Hooper as well, and Jay pulling off a couple of great manoeuvres there up into 9th place. Super stuff there from Jay, as in the foreground you've got Thomas and Mike side by side. Mike with the inside there for Abbey, back up into 6th place. We've also got Connor, who's coming under pressure here from Team MW in towards Village, as there goes John Boy as well. So Team MW Connor losing out to both Team MW and John Boy, and Connor down to P5 in that exchange. John Boy's now on the back of Team MW as well here in the battle for 3rd place, but John Boy continuing to cut through this pack like a hot knife through butter here tonight. Revolt Detail are still leading by a 10th of a second right now ahead of Aussie Albie as they're coming down the hanger straight once again down towards Stoke corner. Aussie Albie attacking on the back of the race leader, as John Boy here is now looking at the inside of Team MW, and that surely is going to be job done there for John Boy. It is job done for John Boy, and he's into the podium places. Team MW has to tuck in. Connor Boylan in the background there, still right behind these guys. Aussie Albie still attacking on Revolt Detailer in towards Vale, but they have got the silent assassin here, John Boy himself, the 2-time champion, 1st and 2nd so far tonight. Can he make it 2 wins from 3 races here in the opening round of the season? He's within a second here of Revolt Detailer and Aussie Albie as they're coming over the line here to start lap 7 of the race. race. Less than a tenth of a second currently separating Revolt Detailer and Aussie Albie. Put John Boy on the warpath in the first part of this race, as Forestier has got Captain Harlock up his inside here into turn 1, and there is Part Pooper and Jay also managing to mug Forestier there coming through the corner. Now there's Part Pooper looking back up the inside of Jay in towards Village. Jay, can he keep it on the outside? No, Part Pooper's going to get the job done there on him, but Jay, I'll tell you what, still got a bit of a run here, might be able to get around the outside of Chapel, and they're still side by side. Part Pooper hugging the inside line. Jay manages to keep the momentum there and holding on to a ninth place for the time being. He's still only 5 seconds off of the lead, so it's not been a bad start to the race for Jay, but he could be a lot better down in P9 in this race. Revolt Detailer though has got John Boy looking to make a move for the lead here, and John Boy is up the inside. Easy come, easy go here for John Boy. He's up into P1 after an electric first few laps to the race. He started from P13 on the grid, and he's now in the lead at the end of lap 7. Unbelievable stuff. Revolt Detail and Aussie still going at it. TMW and Mike followed by Craig. There's Connor ahead of Captain Harlow. Jay, Part Pooper with Doris Deer, Cobb and Nick Lavilla running in P13. Currently 9 seconds covering the entire pack right now. But John Boy, with an absolutely unbelievable first few laps to this race, has gone from P13 to P1. He's currently in a dominant form here in this Touring Car Championship. As we can see, TMW look up at the inside there of Aussie Albie. Aussie Albie there has just got Mike there behind him, squeezing through ahead of TMW, as TMW is trying to look back up the inside of Mike coming through Chapel Curve, as Craig's now looking to try and get involved as well. Contact there between TMW and Craig. Craig though with a better run coming down the hanger straight, I think will be able to get ahead of TMW, or is TMW got enough speed coming down the hanger straight to keep ahead? I think he has actually. TMW they're holding ahead of Craig there, as Craig and TMW and Mike having a bit of contact there into Stoke, and now Craig pushes TMW wide a bit coming through Stoke corner. They're going to be side by side down towards Vale, but unfortunately for TMW, he's got Mike right ahead of him. Mike now moves back to the racing line. TMW and Craig once again banging doors there coming through Vale, as Craig just pushes TMW a bit wide, and TMW's not having any of that. It gives him a bit of a tap back there, trying to squeeze each other there, trying to push each other off the road by the looks of it, as those two now coming out onto the start finish straight, and it's still it's still Craig there holding on ahead of TMW there in P5. Great racing, really close to being over below the belt, but I think just about I'd call that one Robbins racing. They're going to have Captain Harlock right on them as well, as Jay's still there in the background there in 8th place. You've got Connor and Part Pooper here battling over 9th and 10th places. Part Pooper's looking to try and get himself into 9th place if he can. Doris Deer about a second off of these guys, with Cobb there running in 12th after that early collision with Nick Lavilla. Nick Lavilla is 11 seconds off of the lead, so it's not been the race at all here in the final race of the night there for him. John Boy is 2 seconds clear though at the front, ahead of Revolt Detail and Aussie Albie. Aussie Albie's still trying to attack on Revolt Detailer here coming into Stoke corner, as does Revolt Detailer go deep? No, he doesn't. He gets it around the corner nicely there. He'll have the inside for Vale and should be able to defend this one from Aussie Albie coming through the final part of this lap here, as we're almost halfway through this final race of the night already. Mike there just behind them, with Craig, Captain and TMW battling in the background there in the mid pack. There's Jay right on the back of TMW here as they're coming out of club corner once again, but John Boy leading the race by 3 seconds, looking in cruise control here in this final race of the night. Aussie Albie's currently in a sandwich in between Revolt Detailer and Mike Gaming. Craig, Captain, followed by TMW, Jay, Part Pooper there ahead of Connor, followed by Thoris Deer, Cobb in the background there ahead of Nick Lavilla, who's running in 13th place here in this race. What a night it's been, so much action going on, and we've still got half of this final race to go as Revolt Detailer still trying to defend. But look at this, Mike has got a run here on Aussie, and Aussie there getting mugged by Mike Gaming, got a little bit held up there as Revolt Detailer was struggling through that sequence, but I'll tell you what, Aussie's managed to get back ahead. Mike Gaming there with a better run coming out of Chapel, and will get the run, and Mike Gaming's got that one done there, and Aussie Albie coming down the hanger straight. Now he's going to go for that slipstream here. Who is Revolt Detailer going to give the slipstream to? He's kind of sat in the middle of them, trying to just keep them both blue balls, but Mike Gaming here down the inside of Aussie in towards Stoke corner, and gets that one done up into 3rd place. That's now job done there into the podium. And can Mike come back at Revolt Detailer into the Vale? Oh, Aussie, bit of a slide there, and might lose out to Craig. Craig up the inside, contact between the two of them as they're both sliding around a bit. Captain Harlock watching this unfold in the background. Jay, TMW behind them as well, so Jay's got ahead of TMW up into 7th place. Part Poop is on the back of these guys as well, so this is technically a 8 car battle here for 2nd place. 8 cars separated by 3 seconds right now. John Boy's just riding off into the sunset with this final race, but Mike is looking at, he goes into the back of Revolt Detailer there. Revolt Detailer just parked his car at the racing line. Revolt Detailer just I think caught Mike out at his braking point. In the background, Craig and Ozzy side by side through Chapel, but you've got Captain J, TMW and Park are still right behind these guys, and this 8-car train is now separated by 2.5 seconds. Revolt Detailer currently with a bit of a trolley train here behind him. You've got Mike and Craig with Captain, who's trying to defend here from Ozzy, as Ozzy's looking to try and come back at Captain Harlock into Stowe Corner. Captain's got that one held onto, as now you can see Jay trying to capitalise, trying to get Ozzy here. We're going to be 3 wide coming down towards Vale. Captain Harlock on the inside. Jay nowhere to go. Ozzy there squeezes into the side of him. Ozzy pushes Jay onto the grass, and Jay there losing out there to Part Pooper as well, as Team MW, and Ozzy there is going to wait for Jay, I think, and let him back through. Ozzy taking responsibility for that one. I wouldn't say that was all Ozzy's fault, to be honest. He was the meat in the sandwich there, had nowhere to go. Captain Harlock was on his inside, Jay was on his outside, but Ozzy very sportsmanlike there, letting Jay back past as Captain Harlock continues on his merry way there in P5. Revolt Detailer has got Craig behind him, going up the inside of Mike, so Craig there up into 3rd place as well. Good move there from Craig, making up a position. Emma saying, great racing tonight, guys. Touring cars never fails for the action. It really doesn't, Emma. You're absolutely right. But Revolt Detailer still just ahead of Craig, Mike with Captain Harlock, Team MW, Part Pooper, and Jay in the background, and Ozzy running in 9th place now. But still only 3.5 seconds separating these 8 cars, as Craig and Mike side by side there into Chapel. But I think Craig's just got that one held onto, as Mike has now got Captain Harlock looking up his inside down towards Vale, but Captain with nowhere to go. Mike might be able to get around the outside of Craig here. I'll tell you what, that'd be an incredible move if he's able to keep the momentum going as in towards Club. I think Mike's got that one done there up into 3rd place. That's a beautiful move there from Mike. Craig's now got Captain Harlock up his inside. Captain Harlock gets himself into 4th place. TMW there watching in the background, but not able to get the run here on Craig. But Craig there losing a couple of places in the space of 2 corners, and that's not going to be what he would have needed at all. Craig there giving Captain a bit of a tap there as they came through Abbey. But Revolt Detail leading this train of cars in this battle for 2nd place. Mike Gaming looking up the outside there. Revolt Detail, he's in the background there. Craig wide and gets it onto the grass. He's going to have to take to the runoff here. He's going to have to be really careful. Yeah, the runoff was a sensible choice there. If he was joining the track there, that would have been quite dangerous. Craig there keeping it around the outside there of Part Pooper, but Part Pooper's going to the inside and gets the move done on the exit of Chapel. Now you can see Jay and Ozzy right on the back of Craig as well, so Craig has really shot himself in the foot there as we're coming down the hanger straight, and you can see that there is a weaving train of cars here, which is being led by Mike Gaming. Revolt Detailer trying to keep it to that slipstream. Captain Harlock is trying to defend from TMW as well as attack there on the back of Revolt Detailer, but these 8 drivers here batting over 2nd place. What a battle this is, as Team MW there is trying to defend. As you can see, Paul Pooper gets tapped in the rear there by Jay, as Jay pushes him straight on, and Jay continuing there to carry on, and he's now slowing down, so Jay's being very sportsmanlike, and he's going to let Paul Pooper back through, I think. Paul Pooper there moving back up into 8th place, as Jay there acknowledging his own wrongdoing there, but it's still Mike leading this train of cars. Revolt Detail and Captain Harlock side by side, Captain Harlock down the inside into Abbey, and makes the move done there, up into 3rd place, up into the podium places ever. Captain Harlock as Team MW all over the place. And Captain Harlock, sorry, not Captain Harlock, TMW and Revolt Detailer, sorry, coming together there. It's all gone wrong there for those 2. And where's Team MW come out? He's coming out behind Part Pooper, so Ozzy and Part Pooper getting ahead of Team MW, whereas Craig ended up in all of this. He's now behind Ozzy, so Craig down to P6 and Team MW down to 8th place, as Captain and Revolt Detailer still, Captain running in 3rd place all by himself now. Revolt Detailer down to 4th place here, and Craig down to 6th. You've got Part Pooper there, he's making the move here on Craig down towards Stowe Corner, and that's going to be job done there for Part Pooper down the inside. Jay there just ahead of Team MW, but the back's been split up a little bit now. Captain Harlock is now by himself in 3rd place behind Mike Gaming, so those 2 there running in their own battle, but obviously the pack's been split up now. Revolt Detailer is running a couple of seconds ahead of Ozzy, and what's happened to Craig? Craig's slowing down. I think he's letting somebody through. Is he? No, careful. I think he was trying to slow down with somebody there. He's ended up having a collision there with Cobb. Cobb manages to get through. Craig is down to P13. What's going on? I don't know what's happened there to Craig, but he's dropping down the order like a stone. In the meantime, Mike Gaming still occupying that second spot. Captain Harlock there in third place. Less than a second currently separating those two in the battle for P2. Revolt Detail ahead of Aussie Albie. There's Park Pooper who's just ahead of Jay right now. There's Team MW followed by Cobb who's running in ninth place at the moment. Connor there just ahead of Nick followed by Thoristeer. But this has been quite a dramatic final race of the night. It's John Boy, who we've barely spoken about this man. What a dominant display it's been from him. Whilst everybody behind him has been battling hammer and tongs, he has just been riding off into the sunset. It's been a spectacular job so far from our two-time champion. He won the first race of tonight. He had to come second to Captain Harlock in the second race. They still had a great battle there in that one. But in this final race of the night, it's been a John Boy procession. Not even a procession, it's been John Boy dominance, really, if I'm perfectly honest with you. But he is 12 seconds clear of Mike and Captain Harlock, who are battling over second and third places right now. Aussie Albie, Revolt Detailer, Park Pooper and Jay, these four are separated by virtually nothing as they come through Abbey. As here we come down towards Village now, as you've got Park Pooper looking to the outside here, Revolt Detailer. Can he get it all the way around the outside of him? No, Revolt Detailer's got that inside line covered off again. Jay, I'll tell you what, he's looking, isn't he? He's fancying a move here on Park Pooper as they're coming through Chapel Curve, but still can't make anything happen just there. But Revolt Detailer's got a good run here coming out onto the Hanger Straight. Might fancy a chance here on Aussie Albie as they're coming down towards Stoke Corner once again in the background there. You can see that Nick Levitta's really trying to defend here from Connor. I think actually Nick Levitta's made the move on Connor, should I say. So Nick Levitta's up into P10 after having to recover a few positions over the course of this race. But back to the battle here for fourth place is Aussie ahead of Revolt Detailer, followed by Jay, who's trying to go around the outside here of Park Pooper Rex. Park Pooper pushes him to the edge of the track. Jay though with the inside will have to run here through Club Corner, and Jay gets that done up into P6. So Park Pooper there down a position. Now Jay can try and focus his attention on Aussie and Revolt Detailer, who are just up ahead of him. Can Park Pooper get back at him here coming down towards Abbey? No, he's not far enough alongside him there, but Aussie and Revolt Detailer still running in fourth and fifth places. Captain Harlock and Mike still battling over second and third places right now. They're nowhere near the race leader John Boy, who is continuing to just drive away with this race victory. But Aussie Albie and Revolt Detailer with Jay right on the back of Revolt Detailer now. Can Jay recover a couple of places here at the end of this race? As you can see there, Park Pooper in the background there with Team MW and Cobb in close contention, and this is a 6 car battle here for fourth place as they're coming down the Hanger Straight once again. But Aussie, Revolt Detailer, Jay, Park Pooper, Team MW, Cobb here, all these guys in a line of cars as Team MW a little bit wide there coming out of Stowe, but Cobb can't do anything as there is Park Pooper there who's trying to keep ahead of Jay, holds the inside there into Vale. Jay looking up the inside for Club, they can't do it there. Revolt Detailer very wide there in the foreground, gets it turned in whilst these guys have been battling. Aussie Albie's just managed to gap them by about a second, and he's looking a little bit more comfortable there in P4. Through Abbey they come once again. Aussie Albie leading this train of cars, but it looks like he's managed to get away a little bit here. Park Pooper looking to the outside of Revolt Detailer into Village. Jay still looking as well. Team MW's got Cobb really close to him here as we're on the penultimate lap of the race, but can't make anything happen just there. Jay though still attacking here on Revolt Detailer. Park Pooper looked like he got ahead of Jay briefly there coming into Chapel, but Jay had to run. Must have just been waiting to get a cut back there. Park Pooper, I tell you what, has got a great run coming down the end of the Hanger Straight into Stowe Corner. Is this going to be job done up the inside? Jay's going to try and hold it around the outside. Can he get enough momentum here to keep onto the position? I think Park Pooper might have that one done as we come down towards Vale. Yes, he does. Jay too far back to send one into Vale as he's now got to watch out because Team MW and Cobb are right on the back of him as we're about to start the final lap of the race. But Park Pooper there nicking P6. Jay's going to try and come back at him on the final lap, I'm sure about that. Revolt Detail has been let off the hook here because of these two battling behind him. Aussie Albie should be able to bring this home for a P4 ahead of Revolt Detailer. The battle for P6 rages on as we start the final lap of the race. It's going to be between, I think it's going to be between Park Pooper, Jay, Team MW and Cobb, but John Boy, the race leader, is coming in towards Stowe Corner for the final time in this final race of the night. there's not much you can really say about John Boy in his final race other than what a magnificent showing from him. The first race of the night, he took a closely contested victory over Captain Harlock. Captain Harlock managed to get the win over him in the second race and settle the scores, but in this final race of the night, it's been one of the most dominant displays I've seen in the Touring Car Championship over the seasons here at Motive, and John Boy with a bit of showboating here as he comes up towards the line just to rub it in a little bit. What a showing here from John Boy here at Silverstone International. 2 wins from 3 and completely destroyed them in this final race of the night. Captain Harlock is going to take second place and minimise the points lost here, but it's already looking like it's going to be a John Boy Captain Harlock battle for this championship, but a long way to go in this season yet. Mike takes third, but obviously a reserve for this season, the 2-time champion of this Touring Car Championship as well as John Boy. Ozzy takes 4th ahead of Revolt Detailer, followed by Park Pooper, who takes P6. Jay 7th ahead of Team MW in 8th. Cobb over in 9th place in the end. Nick Lavilla takes P10 ahead of Thoristeer, who takes 11th. Connor Boylan over in 12th place, and Craig P13 there crossing over the line in the background. But what a race there in the second race of the night. Final race of the night, should I say, third race of the night. John Boy takes the win and takes 2 wins from 3 races, also the fastest lap to boot, so a fantastic job here so far. John Boy, your championship leader, getting his first win in quite a long time here at Motive tonight, and will be leading the Touring Car Championship going into the next round. What a night, guys. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks to all the drivers, and thanks for the likes and for the views. If you did enjoy, please do smash the like button, and if you want to get involved in Motive Racing, www.motiveracing.com. Gary in the comments saying, I wish I had the time to join in tonight. Did you turn track limits off in the end? BMW would look good alongside the Renaults. Absolutely, Gary. Well, if you still want to join the championship, mate, you're welcome to. Track limits are off for this season. Yeah, we're putting the trust in the guys. Obviously, the guys have got to report it. If they see anybody cutting the track, then they've got to call it in, and then we'll have a look. But yeah, you're more than welcome to join us next week, Gary. Yeah, thanks everybody, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Take it easy, everybody, and yeah, see you later.
Get lost sometimes and I can't seem to find a light between the walls I built for myself right in my mind. And then you came over and you showed me love that I never had seen before. And I got you.
John Boy, you're definitely leading, but no, Captain's not far behind. Captain's not far behind, Jay. He's not far behind at all. Because John Boy got 2 wins and a second, and Captain got 2 seconds and a first. So Captain's not far off John Boy. I don't know yet. I think Mike's the leader of the reserve table. Yeah, exactly. You might be Clio champion.